Okay.
So we were joined from Memphis by my sister from another mister, my one of my best friends in the world, Latricia McCool. We thank you so much for joining us. I got a room full here with us at Velma Jackson, and we're recording this for our friends at Rosa Scott, Madison Central, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, our YouTube channel. And we are in the hospitality and tourism career cluster. And I know you have a long history of the hotel industry, hotel management, hotel sales, literally everything in a hotel setting. But now you've moved into corporate events for an orthopedic company there in Memphis. But that's a perfect example of how hospitality professionals are needed literally in every field. So, and you also graduate of South Jones High School, and went to Jones Junior College and then Southern Miss. So you also took a community college to university route. So I'll let you tell us about your background in going to community college and then to Southern Miss, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Awesome. Good afternoon. Well, good morning. It's not afternoon, but good morning to everyone. Thank you so much, Greg, for giving me this opportunity to talk to your class and just give them a little detail and history about my life and what they can do as they journey throughout their school as well, too. So just looking back, I went to Jones Junior College, left high school, went straight to Jones Junior College, which is a college that was actually probably 10 minutes from my house. So I took that route because I didn't have to pay for school. And I was looking towards, you know, if I go to a university, then I have to pay out of my pocket. But I got the opportunity to go to a Jones Junior College free at no cost at all. Finished my 2 years there, graduated. And then my next journey was the University of Southern Miss, where I did not have a full ride, did not have a partial ride, did have no scholarship whatsoever. Yes, I had a 3.8 GPA, but I had no scholarship. Um, it's maybe because I didn't sign up for it, didn't look for different avenues. I just didn't do that. So that's something I look back and say I probably would have considered, but I did not. But it did not
Now,
stop me from being successful.
now, when you were at Jones, you lived at home too, right?
Yes, I did for
But that's a
free.
good example. You did that to save money, but you were still very involved on campus at Jones. So just because you're not living on campus doesn't mean you can't get the college experience. So that's something to think about when it comes to saving money for college.
Yes, it does. And just to reflect back on Jones, I stayed at home. Did I still get to have that experience? Yes, I did. I got to go out. I also helped out with the basketball team. I was a manager for the basketball team. They wanted me to play, but I had just had surgery after high school. Actually, this was 1998. Finished high school, had to go straight into surgery. So starting school, um, with my knee surgery. I had MCL and ACL. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to put that strain on my family, don't want to put that strain on me. So I decided to stay home, went to Jones Junior College, had that great experience. And then my next steps were the University of Southern Miss, where I met your very own teacher, Greg. That was, I can truly look back and say that was a great experience because there is one person that always reminds me of things in life to look at and reflect back and say, hey, and her name is Maya Angelou. And it's a quote that she's always said. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So that's something throughout your life journey that you should look back on for as a quote, because it's how you make people feel, how you build that relationship, how you network. So that's what I did at University of Southern Miss. Didn't have a scholarship, but I networked. Um, my major was hospitality. Well, no, no, no. My major was culture administration and physical education. So I wanted to maybe possibly go into therapy, physical therapy, but my avenue was being in the school system and learning more about what I can do and help grow not only my learning skills, but the people that is to come behind me, which you all no, I'm not that old. Yeah. So just to reflect back on that and went there, I left and went to Jackson State, but I got homesick. So I moved back. Greg has always been there from the beginning There's no end. He's still there. So moved back, went to school, graduated. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not finished yet. What can I do with my life? I didn't want to get a master's. So I was like, how about I get a second degree? And it's in business. So I went back, got a second degree in business in hospitality. What little did I know that that will start my beginning of life. So it only took me like a year and a half, maybe just a year. I think it's supposed to take you a year and a half, but it only took me a year because I already had those classes in place. So I took those classes, and then I found a job within that major to do an intern. But just so happened, I got a job and I got paid, which was awesome. And there's nothing wrong with doing a free intern, but the thing is, while you're in school, build that relationship and find people where you can network and get into your field, because that will help you along the way. So got into my field, not only in my field, working and getting paid. So I graduated with my second degree. When I graduated my second degree, my boss was the front desk manager. I was working at the Hampton Inn, which is a Hilton property. And he was like, I see so much potential in you. How would you like to move to, around the world? And you get in this management and training program for Hilton. Hilton doesn't have that training program anymore, but there are other jobs that do have programs for management training. But I got in that program and I had to interview. And my first move for that training program was Austin, Texas. So moved to Austin, Texas, worked at the MC Suites downtown, went through the training. And that training is basically to work in every aspect of the hotel. But at the very end, you will focus on what you were meant to do and what you want to do. You have that option. And that option was I wanted to be in sales. So that hotel was really busy and they didn't want me to miss out on the opportunity that was presented to me. So they was like, hey, we don't want to sell you short. So would you be open to moving again? And I was like, okay, where do you want to move me? And they stated Nashville, Tennessee. So I was like, okay, Austin, Texas was 12 hours away from home. So just think about you all. I've never been that far away from home. But because I had that foundation and that help and that family and friends to support me and push me along the way, I moved 12 hours away. Then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and that was about 5 hours away, which was not too far at all. So I moved there, and in the process of moving there, I worked for the MC Suites on 10th Century Boulevard. That's not too far, and I know you guys might know, you may not know, from the Gaylord Mall. So I lived there, a lot of attractions, just meeting people, networking. And after I finished the program, they said to me, hey, you're done with the program. You need to find a job within Hilton so you don't have to pay back the moving costs and the fees. And I was like, okay, I'm not paying back nobody any money. Like, let me find a job. So my director of sales, she believed in me. She had friends, she networked, and she contacted one of the young ladies. Her name was Jennifer. Her name was Jennifer Shipman at the time. And she was at the hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. And she said to me, when I did my interview, she said, the reason why I gave you this opportunity because I saw me within you. For as your work ethics, your interview skills, and I'm horrible with interviews. Horrible. Just gonna say that. But because people can see the authentic person in you and just be yourself, be well-mannered, professional, and just speak from the heart. Not what you think they want to hear, but speak from the heart and be very professional about it. So I spoke from the heart, from experiences, and from learning throughout my journey in college, high school, college, my friends and family, just speaking from there. And she told me she saw something, from just interviewing me, and she wanted to give me a chance as a sales manager. And that doesn't happen too often from leaving where I was in those avenues to becoming a sales manager. Maybe a sales coordinator, but no, I skipped that route. I became a sales manager. So, become a sales manager, I learned the ins and outs. And like I've always said, be true to yourself. You don't have to be disrespectful to be true to yourself. Just be true to yourself in your upcoming and your upbringing. And I treated people how I want to be treated. And that old saying, I don't know if you ever heard this before, you have to teach people how to treat you with respect. And so that's what I did. I built relationships, worked at the MC Suites for 8 years and in Memphis, Tennessee. And I was like, you know what? I'm better than that. I want to learn. I want to grow. And sometimes we're scared and we to move to that next journey. And I was scared. I said, but you know what? I'm gonna challenge myself because there's more out there to what I'm doing. So I left there and went to the Hilton Hotel. So the MC Suites, go back to that, was about 205 rooms with 3,000 square foot of meeting space. Then I moved to the Hilton Hotel that was 405 rooms with 30,000 square foot of meeting space. So I was like, okay, that's when it dawned on myself is that you can do anything you want to do in life. You just have to put forth that effort and you have to build relationships and you have to love what you're doing. I love what I'm doing. I love it. I love when I worked in the hotel. So I did that. And guess what, you guys? I was like saying to myself, hotels never close. They're always open. 365 days, no matter what. But guess what? The pandemic hit. Pandemic hit in 2000, 2000, Craig?
2020.
Okay, 2020. Yeah, I said 2000. That let you know I'm young and I forget the years. So in 2000, and I was furloughed. So I was home. And throughout the lifestyle, I have 2 kids and I have a husband. I skipped that part. But it's a great journey. And my kids were home. My husband was still working because the bank had to continue to stay open because people were freaking out. People were losing stock. It was just people didn't know what to do. So I enjoyed that time at home with my kids. And then I was like, you know what? They're going back to school. It's time for me to find a job. So I wasn't able to jump back in the hospitality field like that. Because people wasn't still traveling. They were still scared, completely understandable. So I went into working with Randstad, which is a staffing company that helps people find jobs for professional jobs like administrators. So it was like health field. That was not my calling whatsoever. I was probably there for 6 months.
Yeah, but sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do to get where you want to be.
Yes. And I can truly say, you guys, I did not want to do that at whatsoever. I cried almost, I'm gonna be honest with you. I cried almost every day. And my husband was like, just quit. But I'm like, I'm not a quitter. I'm not a failure. Because I believe in myself, regardless how people see me or feel about me. I know who I am. And when you know who you are, you believe in yourself and you have faith that it's going to work out. It may not work out right then, but just trust the process on anything that you do in life. So I got a call from one of my friends at the Hampton Inn, and she said, hey, Treese, we're hiring in our hotel. We're looking for a director of sales. I think you'll be a great fit for this opportunity. I've told my VP of sales to call you. So I'm like, oh my God, there is a God somewhere. So they called me and I talked to them. I interviewed and it was a long process. I didn't get hired the next day. It was like almost a month later. So just think about when you don't get a call for a job within 2 weeks or three weeks, just be patient because I didn't get hired until a month later. And I had to go through all kinds of process for drug testing. And because I don't do any of those bad things, I didn't have to worry about, hey, oh my God, I'm doing a drug test. Am I going to pass it? I knew I was going to pass it. So that was not something I worried about. So did my drug testing and then started working at the Hampton Inn in Germantown. And I loved it. My own office, come and go as I please, as long as I'm doing my job and making money for the hotel. But there's one thing I forgot to mention to you is the relationship that I built when I was at the Hilton Hotel was with Smith and Nephew. And I booked all their meetings, their sales training meetings, and I built relationships when I was at the Hilton Hotel. So that's what I mean by building relationships. And when I was at the Hilton, so I'm going back, you guys, when I was at the Hilton Hotel, they asked me, would I be open to come to Smith and Nephew? And I was like, my kids are young. Caleb and Chloe. Caleb was probably maybe I would say he was probably 8. Chloe was a baby. So I couldn't travel like that anymore. I had a family. So I had to turn them down. So I'm going back to the Hampton Inn. So working at the Hampton Inn, I connected with Dawn with Smith and Nephew. And she was like, hey, Tree, she said, I have some small meetings. I'm looking at putting them here at the hotel. Do you guys have availability? And I'm like, yes, because my hotel was booming. That hotel was booming. It's still booming.
Yeah, that's a great area.
Yes, it's always sold out. But I knew what type of business they had. It was consistent. They were checking in on Sunday and they'd check out on Friday. That's what kind of clientele I wanted. And then I had leisure business on the weekend. So it balanced out. You have to know your job and know what you're doing and love it to understand the process of it. So she came back to me again. She said, hey, I'm going to another department and I've recommended you for this position. And would you be open to it? So it was her position, but it was a higher up position. So she was a meeting and event specialist. So the position that she wanted me to apply for was meeting and events manager. So didn't know what all that entailed, but I knew it was a manager's position. So surprisingly, the person I interviewed with was one of the people I met while doing trainings. And she remembered me. She remembered my personality. She just loved me. So, and guess what? My birthday is August the 5th, and her birthday is August the 5th. So it was meant to be. so, I interviewed with her, and she told me a little bit about the job, about me traveling. I will have 3 people underneath me. They were not hired. I would have to hire those 3 people for those positions. So I would have to hire one person for Andover, and that's in Boston. I would Boston, Massachusetts, Andover, Massachusetts. I'm sorry. Then I would have to hire another person in Fort Worth, Texas, and then I would have to hire another person in Memphis, Tennessee. So not knowing a little bit about the job, but just having the experience from the hospitality helped me and mold me. And having that 6 months of experience working with Randstad in human resource also prepared me as well. Even though I disliked that job, it prepared me for that.
Absolutely. Oh, I agree with you on that. I can say the same thing about jobs I didn't like. Now, before I get to the students' questions, I do want to mention a couple things is that, you lived in big cities and, I hear a lot of kids say they want to live in Las Vegas. They want to live in Chicago, want to live in Miami. Austin, Texas is one of the most busy tourist cities in the world that people don't realize. And even here in Mississippi on the coast, the need for hospitality professionals is out the roof. And it's with the pandemic ending, there is more and more careers available. And this is one of the few areas, at least I think, that is AI proof. People want the human touch. People want the human interaction. And if somebody's a people person, the hotel, restaurant, casino industry really can use them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is true. That is very true, Greg. And the reason why I say that's very true, because going into this position that I am now has set me up for success, because being a meeting events manager, I also plan meetings, sales trainings for attendees coming in to Smith & Nephew. I have to book their airfare. I have to also book their transportation, which would be ground transportation or air transportation. I also have to book hotel accommodations where I'm at. I feel like I'm a specialist when it comes to hotel. So, hey, that's not a problem. So why not move up to another position and have those things under your belt? And also, I forgot to mention, I have to travel. I just left Austin, Texas Tuesday. I flew in on Monday. I had to fly back out on Tuesday and come back to Memphis, Tennessee. Um, Before then, I was in Dallas. Before then, I was in Tampa. You guys, I
Wow.
travel with this
That's awesome.
job. I love it. Do I miss my family? Yes. But that's where you make sure you build the relationships with people to kind of support you. Because my husband works as well too. And my mom lives 4 hours away. His mom lives an hour away. So that's where you have to build a community for your family and a network of friends to support you. I'm pretty sure if I had to call Greg to come watch my kids, he would do it. So that's what I mean about relationships. Everybody's not going to be there for you your entire life. They might be there for a season, forever, or they might just be there for a day. But you'll know that and stay true to yourself. And that's going to help you with your job as well, too, because you never know who you're going to encounter. I had no idea I would be working for Smith and Nephew when I worked at the hotel. So, Greg, that's my life. And I know the students have questions.
Yeah, and no, the other thing I wanted to also mention is that also within hotels, there's jobs that people don't see that are extremely important. I was just telling them before we came on, I was down in Biloxi at spring break at the Boat Lodge, and they were having a job fair, and I was blown away at all the stuff that they have because there's engineers, there's maintenance people, there's IT people, especially when you're managing a database of people's personal information. The need for IT people in hotels is out the roof. Um,
Yeah.
especially in resort properties, there has to be culinary people, there has to be restaurant management, there has to be financial people. So and I'm sure I missed some big ones right there.
Yes. And the things that Greg just listed, those are important positions within the hotel. In order for me to sell a hotel, the room has to be working. So we need engineer. In order for me to sell a hotel, the room has to be clean. So we need housekeepers. In order for me to bill people, we need IT to make sure the equipment is working. And the financial department is handling the billing. We need someone from operations standpoint to check people in, like a front desk associate, checking people in. What about if you have a shuttle at a hotel? Who's going to drive that shuttle? So we have drivers.
Yep.
You have your banquet staff. You have your cooks. You can be a chef and work at a hotel. You can travel. And one thing I forgot to mention too, Greg, is also now because there were so many people furloughed during COVID, they now have temp services for the hospitality, and you get to travel as a temp and go to other hotels and help them run hotels. So you too can go to other cities. You don't have to move to a big city to live there. You can stay where you're at in Memphis, Tennessee, find a job that allow you to travel and do the things that you want to do in life. But you know what? You're spending their money, not your money. So yes, thank you for pointing those things out. So, people are so hung up on titles. Titles are Titles are great. Yeah, they're fine. They're good to have. You want to tell your friend that you're this doctor, you're this lawyer. But you know what? In order for them to do what they're doing, they also have to have a staff to help build their foundation. And that's what we do at Smith and Nephew. People that maybe wanted to go to school to be a lawyer. So the attendees, just kind of give you an idea of the attendees that come to the classes that I help book. There are people within Smith and Nephew that are going to sell equipment, product to doctors and surgeons. And do you not know, sometimes they're in the room with the doctors telling the doctor how to use that product, how to use it as they're having surgeries. So it's like, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a nurse. You can be a associate at Smith and Nephew and work in the field and out the field as well too. They go sell those products. So basically what we do is if you tear your ACL, MCL, we have the equipment for the surgeons to help them repair that. If you have knee replacement, we have that equipment. If you have your ankle missed, we have the equipment. We specialize in ankle, the entire body, except for your head. Yeah. Don't know much about that yet, but your shoulder, your ankle, your lower and your upper extremities. Let's say it like that. So that's what my company does. And I encounter so many people coming in for sales training to get that education to learn. And they didn't go to school to be a nurse. They didn't go to school to be a doctor. We train those people to do those things.
Awesome.
So there's another avenue.
But I do have a few questions I want to get to, and this first one's hilarious.
Okay.
This is Christian Mitchell. She's a junior, and she asks, "Do you really believe the customer is always right?"
I'm gonna be honest with you. No, I do not. I do. But this is the thing: the customer is not always right, but sometimes it's the things that come out your mouth, your personality, who you are. There has been a customer that has went off on me, and she was wrong. She was dead wrong. But you got to remember who has the power. You actually have the power. And she was like, I checked into my room and I checked into the room on her app. She checked into her room on her app and she said it checked me in, but it's showing that I didn't get checked in. So she was just going off on me. And I was like, ma'am, I said, I completely understand where you're coming from. I said, I do see that you checked in, but because your credit card was declined, that's the reason why it checked you out of the hotel. And she was like, no, I have plenty money on my credit card. I said, ma'am, you might have plenty money on your credit card. However, the system is made by man, not by me. So that is the reason why you might want to call your credit card company. I said, again, I do apologize. And because I was kind to her, respectful, and I didn't back down, but I was respectful, guess what she did? She came back and apologized to me. I had no intentions I didn't think the woman was going to apologize to me. I didn't care if she did or didn't, because the thing is, I knew I was right. At the end of the day, if you know that you don't have to prove your point to no one. As long as you speak with intelligence and know what you're talking about, that's all that matters. People are going to apologize. People are not going to apologize, but who cares? Because at the end of the day, it's how you feel and what you were able to do as sister. But just remember, you will gain a friend by acting that way and being respectful.
And possibly a repeat customer. So that's money. You know, if you're commission based, that's more money in your pocket.
Yes. And guess what? When I worked there, the woman would call and ask for me and say, hey, Latrice, I checked in on my app. I just want to make sure that I said, yes, ma'am, you're good to go. So when you get here, your room is available. So awesome. You see that? She wasn't right. But at the end of the day, I was able to take care of it without getting an attitude. Why get an attitude? Who cares? Just fix it and move on. That's how I feel. Life's too short.
That's awesome. I just got a couple more. This is Rashawn Smith. He's a sophomore. And he asked, what made you pick the hospitality field after you already had your first degree?
You know what? Reason why is because, don't get me wrong, it takes a special person to work in education. Thank you, Greg, for taking on that. Because I know sometimes students can be students. Believe me. The reason why I took the hospitality field is, as I mentioned before COVID hit, the hospitality field that industry never closes. It's open 365 days of the year. And how many days do we have in the year?
24 hours a day. So if you want to work at night, hospitality could be the spot for you if you want to sleep in every day.
Yes. And so you might say to yourself, okay, the hospital is open all the time. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not smart like that. I wasn't built like that.
Me too.
I don't want to study every day. I wanted to party. I mean, you can party and be a doctor. Don't get me wrong. You can be a party and be a nurse. But I just wanted to have fun in my life. And I didn't want to have all these bills, because I have friends that are doctors and they have student loans that they're still paying back and they're making a lot of money. So that's the reason why I wanted to take a different avenue. And that's the avenue I wanted to take it. And I wanted to get a degree in it, because once you have a degree in something, you have that education background. You may not have that experience, but you have that education background. And like I said, it takes a special person to work in education. So thank you, Greg, for doing that.
You're always welcome. I just got one more from the students. This is Jayla Chambers. She's in 9th grade. And she asked, what areas do you think you could most improve in as a professional, and why?
Okay, what area? One area is being humble. Sometimes if things doesn't go our way, we tend to feel like the world is coming to an end and we drop the ball. So that's one thing that's one thing I'm working on is being humble and being able to handle a situation as it comes. We can't plan for everything, but the thing is having peace about it. So that's what I'm moving towards is being humble. And also another thing is for as public speaking, I'm going to be frankly honest with you. My last name is McCool. So that gives me a platform for myself. So sometimes because I'm nervous, and I have friends that throw up and then they speak. I don't throw up. I'm just nervous. So I'll come in and say, hey, my name's Latrica McCool. I'm the coolest person in the world. And that's what gets the crowd laughing and going. And that's something I've been working on because it's an elevator speech for me. So that's one thing I'm working on is also just everyone is not built or set up to be public speakers. But the thing is, you never know it unless you try. So because I got this cool last name, I think I'm cool. I might be the lamest person ever, but however, people love my name. So, yeah.
And again, companies of any field want people that can speak.
Yes.
These kids are so stuck on their phones. What gets lost is the verbal communication. You don't have to be comfortable speaking in front of 2,000 people. I've done that before and I was fine, but everybody can't do that. But you got to be able to speak one-on-one to a customer. Even
Yes.
if you're not in hospitality, if you're going to do somebody's hair, you got to talk to them about their hair. If you're going to drive a truck, you got to let the people know when you get there what you're hauling. So
Yes.
you can't just be shy and scared to present yourself and scared to present your product. That is such a lost skill. And in hospitality, it is vital.
Yes, yes, yes. And so they have jobs for that when you want to be an IT person. But guess what? You still have to talk to the person on the phone.
Yeah, and even an IT person, you have to be the expert. If somebody at the front desk says, "Hey, my system's not working," you're going to have to walk them through how to fix it. You may not have to do it face to face, but you're going to have to do it on the phone.
Yes. So those two things is speaking and being humble. Those are two things I want to grow in and continue to grow. And the reason why I say that is because remember, I have two kids. I have one that's 10, I have one that's 15. And what are they always doing? On the phone, electronics, no social life. How do you expect to go into business? How about if you want to be your own entrepreneur? So those are things that you need to just sit back and think about. Okay, it's okay to be on your phone, but you need to be doing research while you're on the phone. Yeah. So yeah.
Now we're almost out of time. And by the way, I'm loving the soccer shirt you have on.
Thank you. Well, it's not a soccer shirt, so it is.
Oh, I thought it was the 901 FC shirt.
It's not. It is Memphis. So it's Smith and Nephew 901 Memphis Rises. So Dunn actually came up with this. Her boss is Craig, and he wanted to do something to highlight Memphis to incorporate Smith and Nephew because Smith and Nephew is around the world and he wants to give back to the community. So this is something that we're putting in place at Smith and Nephew to help not grow only Memphis, but I know people see our name in the news for us, Memphis being a place that you don't want to go. But at the end of the day, we have great people here. We have entrepreneurs that's coming from here that's celebrities. So Memphis is a great place. And, there's no matter where you go, there's going to be crime regardless, but it's what you make out of it. So this is what I'm wearing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they did a play on the Memphis 901 FC soccer team.
Yes.
That's what I thought it was. But like I said, we're almost out of time. And it's always so good to see you and hear from you. But, before we go, you're from tiny Ellisville, Mississippi. You're from a rural area just like we are, and you grew up with the same obstacles and the same type of situation, but yet you've seen the entire country. You've seen places that I've never been. Yes. All because you bet on yourself and you got in the field where you're needed. So what can these kids do if they want to follow in the footsteps of someone like you?
I would say this, don't look at your past. My dad was never there for me. My mom raised me, my grandparents, my aunties and uncle. That didn't stop me from my success. That helped me and grow me on the path that I am now. From Ellisville, Mississippi, a small town. And I also met great friends through the process. Some of them were good, some of them they did their own thing. But however, you dictate what you want to do in life. And remember, there's one other thing too. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe there's a God that if you continue to pray and ask him to lead and guide you, and you have family members that pray for you, it will help you get to your next steps. So this continue to be humble, continue to know what is right, be respectful, network, build relationships. You have no idea that the person that's sitting next to you might be a lawyer, might be a doctor, might be a policeman, might be a specialist within the hotel field. You don't know where they're going. But I say continue that relationship and build it, because you never know when you're going to meet with that person at the end of the day. And relationships are always number one. And like I said earlier, people will forget what you said. So I came up with a rap. This is my freestyle. Don't laugh at me now. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, by Maya Angelou. So that's one of my raps I say, because that's the truth. And that's me.
It is. Well, as always, it's such a pleasure. And I got to get up there and see you guys again. I miss you so much.
Yes. Yes. So we can
All
have
right. So,
fun.
again, Latricia McCool, all the way from Memphis, Tennessee. Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Love you, Greg. And have a good day, class. And happy Black History Month.
It's now we're in Women's History Month.
Yes. Women rule.
That's
Have a
right.
good day.
All right.
Love you.